Hey drivers, this is Ron here with Class A Jobs. If you guys don't know my backstory from a lot of the videos that I've created, I'm a 22 plus year driver. 2 years OTR back in the early 90s. I was blessed enough to get two great local jobs, one doing bread delivery to McDonald's throughout New England, and the other one I moved west working for a food delivery company um, to wrap up my 20 plus years in the Teamsters. Um, Third generation truck driver, grew up on a dairy farm, so know a little bit about the industry and how it works. What we do here at Class A Jobs for the last 14 years is help drivers learn what opportunities are out there that match their qualifications. And we're not your kind of standard run of the mill third party agency. My wife started the business when I was still driving with the premise of being able to help drivers like myself find better jobs. And then, two, of course, educating drivers, things that I've learned out on the road. Um, Over the years of 14 years, we probably talked to thousands of drivers, being able to help, understanding, support, things like that. It's been a blessing to keep going in an industry that I love, that I grew up in. My dad's Pete Cab over hauling ice cream coast to coast. So, with that being said, guys, these educational videos are just that. They are what is stopping some drivers from getting hired, helping teach drivers to have your information ready. Be professional. When I first started in this industry, we all looked the same, man, with flannel jeans, boots on. That landscape has changed some, but what hasn't changed now is being able to get away with things, not disclosing certain things, and I'll explain why. They run three different backgrounds on you. Your PSP report, which is the pre-screening that is submitted to FMCSA, that houses your information, and I'll pull this up for you for reference here. PSP report, and what this includes, it's all of the data for your safe driving when you are working for whatever carrier you're working for. The DAC report is what the carriers put in for truck abandonments, um, incidents, accidents, and that is done through HireRight. So, and these things are what they're checking on you. This is what people have put in for. Yeah, let me pull up this one. This is what carriers have put in about you. Now, you can dispute these. Um, Let me see, drivers reports. There we go. You can dispute these, and I'll show you a few here in a minute on a couple different things. Let me pull this up here. And it's called a driver A check. That's what a DAC is. They can check various things from your tickets, past employers, notifications about you. So when you get a DQ, you're like, what in God's green earth are they talking about? Well, not that you would, but if you did a truck abandonment, or they feel like you did a truck abandonment, and that's what they put down on your DAC report, and you can't get hired. Those are the things that we'll walk you through here. Our 888 number is always open on the website, or you can shoot us a message, and we'll see if we can kind of walk through what the process is. We hire for 25 plus carriers on average. We do a lot of this day in and day out, especially with our 100 recruiters. We see disqualifications all day, every day, and then we try to help the drivers figure out why. Um, these things make a difference in your life, and as well as when the carriers, if you don't disclose something, they're going to find it. That's just become the nature of the industry here now. So let me show you guys a couple different examples of what the carriers are looking for. Let me zoom this in here. And there we go. Hope you guys can see that well. So, of course, you got to be 21 years of age to go out of state. You've got to have a valid Class A, Class B, or Class C, depending on what you're doing. You've got to have the hazmats that coincide with the type of freight you're hauling. So, if you're running tanker and fuel, you've got to have your tanker and hazmat. If you're running doubles like I did, you got to have your doubles and triples and so on and so forth. TWIC if you're going in and out of ports or military establishments. Um, Recent verifiable tractor trailer experience. Usually the last 3 years is what matters. And if you have been a local driver, and I know this doesn't make any sense to you, and you're like, a tractor trailer is a tractor trailer, and I'll explain why. You get DQ'd because you don't have recent Class A experience. What they mean by that is over the road or regional experience. So if you're a local intermodal driver and you've been running 18 months of local and you go and apply for a regional position, maybe your lifestyle has changed and you're all right with being out in a truck, and you get DQ'd and you don't understand why. Well, then you send in for that letter that the carrier is going to send you back the reasoning why, and you're like, lack of experience. And you're like, what in God's green earth are they talking about, man? It's because you don't have recent regional or OTR sleeping in the truck. And carriers feel that that is a big downfall from a local driver that sleeps in his bed coming into a regional sleeping in truck, that they're not going to last. Well, on two hands, I understand why. But the logic is the driver's a driver. Whether I'm running local and sleeping in a hotel for a food delivery company or I'm running regional, I'm okay with that. I understand what that means when it comes to driving a truck and sleeping in a sleeper. I understand that. When I signed up to apply at your company, I understood that I was sleeping in a truck. That has become really just an invalid point now, especially with the market of drivers and what the carriers are looking for. Even though the economy is kind of contracted, we're starting to notice that the carriers are contracted and what they're looking at. Well, we have a lot of disqualifications lately, and I figured I'd put these videos out to explain why. So employment history, list all 36 months of employers, and it's good to have your 10-year work history put away. Um, it's just it's good habit, it's professionalism. Having all of this stuff available to just drop into a 10 street is always a good thing. Um, it's really just become a level of professionalism. This is mine, and mind you, I'm retired since 14, so I still have my information. What I've been running, what my preferences are, my 3 years of incidents. I got 000. I was lucky to be a clean driver. No doubt DUIs, no terminations, no failed drugs. I have this ready, available all the time. My resume. I drove for LaFramboise from 92 to 96. I drove for a company called Transtar out of Wapaka. From 99 to 11, I drove for a company called Automatic Rolls. Then I drove food delivery. Then I've been a business owner 22 years. I haven't driven, so I would need a refresher technically. As crazy as that is, with all the miles I have, the companies would want me to go back to a trucking school and get a refresher course. And I probably know more than their instructors do. I've kept up on ELDs. I've used ELDs essentially since they came out. It makes no sense for this to happen, and what this is dictated by is insurance. It's stupid. Um, strong history and work history, but not experience as recent, would be disqualifications for most carriers with recent OTR requirements. That right there tells you everything. And I'm a 22-year clean driver, and I'd be like, "What?" If I didn't know what I know as a independent recruiter, I would never understand, why aren't you touching me? And I have drivers all day, every day that call in or send messages wanting to know why they were disqualified. Well, you've been out of the truck too long. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I agree, I concur, but it's what the insurance companies dictate and mandate. And these are the things that have to change. You're turning away drivers that have millions and millions of safe miles. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. With 200,000 drivers that are actively out because of various reasons in the last 6 months, this has to end. You have to become a little more open and loose on your parameters. Accidents and tickets, man. If you don't know these when you call me, shame on you, man. You know when you clipped the mirror. You know when you hit a car. You know when you backed over and blew out both tires. Don't hide these things. because they're everywhere now, drivers. We can find this information from any carrier, and when they send out the references to your past employers, this stuff's going to come up, man. Just stop hiding it. Be honest on these things because it's a lot easier for me to find a carrier. It's a little more loose, especially when we work with 20 to 40 carriers. It's easier, um, to look at. So I'll show you here in a minute what some of this stuff looks like. So tickets and violations in the last 3 years, 15 over, guys. If you're a speed demon and you've got 115 over in the last three, you're going to be hard pressed to get hired. End of story. This is a big boy violation, whether you believe it or not. Um, Cell phone tickets, those are big boy violations. To the carrier, it makes it look like you're reckless and you're not using your Bluetooth and you're distracted. Even though when you have the Bluetooth on, you're distracted. It doesn't matter, but as a professional driver, you can multitask. Incidents, know what these are. Clipping a mirror, hitting your door, coming in and scraping the trailer. These are all incidents that get reported. When you drop your trailer in a drop yard and you do your pre-trip and your post-trip and you go, yeah, everything's fine. Next guy walks in and goes, oh, there's a big gouge in the side of the reefer. Uh, you know, that's not me. Circle it, mark it, take it into safety or into maintenance. That's on you, dude. You were the last one to touch that. Whether or not it happened under your watch, you missed it and didn't mark it down, or you did it and you didn't mark it down, you're going to own that. So be honest about it. DUIs. So a DUI in a personal vehicle before your CDL, it does strike a mark against you. It's when you show a pattern of those things, multiple DUIs, or you got a DUI when you had your commercial motor vehicle, your CDL. That is where it starts to mark up. One, outside of 5 years or 7 years, they can kind of look at. If it's within 5 to 7 years for a lot of carriers, you're just not gonna. It's not gonna go through. It's hard to wrap your head around it. Um, Give me 1 second here, guys. No, and it's hard to understand why, but that's what it is, that DUI. If you had a termination for safety, if you were termed for a safety infraction, you're almost unhireable for 1 year, and they want 6 months of clean driving at another carrier. Now, I know that's redundant, and it doesn't make any sense, but the fact of the matter is you need to go to a small mom and pop company and run for those guys for a year without any issues, and that will help offset and get that kind of righted, showing that you're a safe driver. Um, Drug and alcohol testing. If you ever fail or refuse, go get another job. End of story. Go get a warehouse job. Your career is over. The days, even though it's legal in so many states, um, smoking pot, any other drugs, those vape pens, taking CBD medicine, those are all no-nos. It doesn't matter what your state does. You're a federally recognized truck driver. Those things shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be doing those things. It's just going to put you in a position where you've wasted $7,000 on your CDL and you get fired. Then nobody will hire you. You put in 62 applications and waste everybody's time at carriers and recruiters and things like that. You're just not going to get hired. It's not going to happen. So, um, medical DOT, having your medical card valid and having at least 3 months remaining, a lot of carriers will not put you back through their physicals because it's cost effective. And the biggest thing with that is you're still going to get a urine or hair because that's just what it is, for your drug screen. But the physical portion of it, you should be out there walking around, guys. Having high blood pressure, high cholesterol, sugar, diabetes, you've got to make sure that you're out there. Walk the outside of the truck stop, man. That's what I used to do. I used to do 50 push-ups, 50 crunches, and then go walk. You're going to sit there for 34 hours. What else are you going to do? Have some strength bands in the truck and stuff like that. So, When you're looking at a job, make sure that if the job states that it's 80011 50-mile radius, that you're in that, man, because you're wasting your time when you apply and you're outside the hiring radius. Then you're disappointed when I tell you no, you're 10 miles outside of that hiring radius. They set that hiring radius because the expectation that a driver is going to drive 14 hours a day and an hour commute in and an hour commute home is 16 hours. Then you're going to go home, go to Johnny's baseball game, eat your dinner, and have a beer. Well, guess what? You can't have that beer because you're within 8 hours of going back to the clock. Um, these are the things that matters, guys. This is what I'm trying to explain to you when you're applying for a job, right? So looking at a couple carriers, and we don't hire for any of these carriers. I just wanted to show you guys. This is a great ad, man. This tells you exactly what you're going to be doing, what your expectations are, what your qualifications are, living 40 miles of Denver, 3 months of Class A experience. Drivers, they will not include your training time because you weren't in control of that truck by yourself. That training time does not apply to anything other than your training time. If you understand that when you call a company or an agency and we say, well, you only have 3 months of solo, even though you've been driving 5 months, you did 8 weeks with your trainer. 8 weeks with your trainer does not apply because you weren't the captain of that ship. When you become captain of that ship, that's when your clock starts. And knowing that makes a difference because it's your expectations, and probably nobody's ever explained this to you. Understanding why this matters. It's got your benefits in here, and they've got actually hyperlinks to go back, which is awesome. I love seeing that as a driver. The ones that I hate are these. You drive 5.5 days, 25. Where am I going? What am I doing? How much am I making? What are your requirements? When does my benefits kick in? This is a great little map that shows you your hiring areas and your operating areas, but it doesn't show you anything else. This has to stop. This has got to be something that is accessible for the driver to click on, to read through, that's easy to read. And a lot of these sites, and now mind you, I have my IT degree, a lot of these sites have to be revamped. This quick apply doesn't mean anything. This is simply a waste of time for a lot of these drivers and a lot of these carriers because there's nothing on here that explains who you are as a driver. If you're going to put a resume upload on here for the carriers if you're listening to this video. Um, this Carriers got to get their own job boards. End of story. You guys pay thousands of dollars a month for SEO and traction and all of this other stuff, clicks, conversions, CPMs. This does not help me as a driver. I want to know what the job is. If it's regional, it's regional. If I'm looking for that, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm clicking on as a driver. These things, and we have consulting things. So if a carrier wants to call us and walk through your website, we can give you some tips. Um, what you've got to look for, drivers, is a position that meets your experience level. So if you're a 20-year driver, really everything on the board is your oyster. If you're a 5-year driver, really everything's your oyster. If you're a 2-year driver, really everything's on your oyster. If you're under 2 years, you're still a newbie. I don't care what you say. At 2 years, you just are starting to feel what that truck does, what we call our ass feel. If you're in a snowstorm and she's starting to brake left or right, knowing what to do to react to that to get the truck back under control. After 22 years, it was like an extension of my arm. I could feel my rears breaking loose, back off the throttle, steer into it a little bit, give it a little bit of fuel, or drag the trolley to straighten everything back out. These are the things that you don't know that you don't know. And it's no knock against you, it's just lack of experience. Under a year, you don't know anything. You're reacting to everything, and you're stressed and you're tired. And when you get to the shipper, you're exhausted. Now you're mad that you're going to sit there for 4 hours. Welcome to trucking, man. That's just what it is. I'm so sick of seeing these posts that are out there bashing the trucking industry, dude. I make $60,000 for being out for 168 hours. No, you work 70 hours. Yes, you're sleeping in a truck. Yes, you're responsible for it. Does the pay need to be increased? Absolutely. but this is what you signed up for. In 2 years, when you sign on a dotted line for a Cisco or a union shop or a food delivery, a performance, and you're making 100 grand and you have to get out of the truck and do some work, or you're a fuel driver and you got a lot more responsibility, that's where the pay comes from. That's where the $100,000 jobs come from. So have realistic expectations. When I'm putting your application in and you don't disclose something to that recruiter, you've wasted your time and my time. And independent recruiters don't get paid until you get hired. My number one job is to find something that fits you. This is why we have a 3 to 6% app to hire ratio. I want to find something that fits your needs the best that it can, but with realistic outlook. So, um, when you take a look at that, guys, have all of your information ready. Best thing you can do is have all of this stuff handy. Be able to send a recruiter, hey, let me send you my resume. I just updated it, or hey, let me send you over, my last MVR that I pulled. It doesn't show the last 6 months, but it gives you a snapshot. Those are the things that help a lot. It helps me understand if you're hireable or qualifiable, I guess is the right word. But then at the end of the day, it also allows me to show your level of professionalism in this industry. And I understand there's a lot of things out there, guys, a lot of reasons why drivers get upset. If carriers would clean up what their requirements are and what the running lanes look like and things like that are a little more in depth other than a blurb, the retention will come up even 5%, which is drastic for a carrier and for a driver. You understand what you're going into when you're getting the job, right? You've got a clear expectation of it. So on our website, guys, a lot of things. We show some of the quick red flags, experience requirements, which is defined by in one of those ads, whether it's OTR, local, or regional. If you're local right now and you apply for an OTR and it's been 2 years you've been running local, most likely you're going to get DQ'd unless the carrier takes local experience. And carriers should be putting that in there. Local experience, welcome, right? Uh, your verified tractor trailer seat time is required. Right? That's what we were just talking about. Generally, none in the last 5 years for DUIs, no abandonments, guys. This will trigger a no hire and a no rehire for carriers and other carriers when they put it on your PSP and DAG. Job history limits, max 3 and 12 months, 4 and 36. If you're a job hopper and you can't get a job, this is why. That's where we are in the market right now in 2025 in September. No DOT recordables in the past 3. Criminal and DUI varies, so you got to check the carrier profiles. Usually, if as long as your criminal's outside of 7 years, and you're okay possibly having an independent review by a lot of carriers do that, you'll be okay. Um, Recent OTR mandatory for most divisions, max number of jobs, driver SAP issues. Right now, SAPs, man, we can't sell you at all, and it sucks because everybody makes mistakes. But right now, because of the market, and it's really the insurance market, major preventables, rollovers in the last 3 to 5s are going to be DQs, man. You might want to see if you can find a mom and pop or a company that'll take that and stay clean, be professional about it, right? Check your records. Get your DAC report and your PSPs every year. Pull your MVR, man. It's $5. DAC disputes, you're going to dispute with higher right. PSP, you're going to go through FMCSA data queue system, and MVR would be at your local motor vehicle. And it's got a qualification list here to check it out. So check us out, guys. If you can't find a job and you really need us to kind of look at what your background looks like, drop us a line, man. We're always happy to help drivers. Referrals is a huge part of our business, and we really do appreciate your time. So I hope this is educational, guys. Please let us know if you have any questions and carriers. If you need any ideas, reach out to us. A lot of this stuff's got to be cleaned up to make it more clear and concise to drivers, and drivers need to be clear and concise to the drivers, to the carriers, so we're not wasting each other's time. So thank you all. This is Ron Baker here at Class A. Keep a shiny side up, guys. Be safe and be smart.